Hello, how you guys doing today? So today I'm going to be going over mainly the differences between Korean and English, and what I'm going to be focusing on are the pronunciation, the accents, and the sentence structures. And I'm going to be going a little in depth on the pronunciation, and I'm going to be showing the differences between the pronunciation of the vowels and consonants in Korean compared to English. And I'm going to be starting right now with showing the differences also between saying a simple phrase, a social phrase of starting a conversation of how are you. Uh, Elaborating on that is going to be hello, how are you. And basically in Korean there's a semi-formal and formal way of saying that. And the semi-formal way is 안녕, 어떻게 지냈어요? And the formal way is 안녕하세요, 어떻게 지냈어요? And today I'm going to be showing an example of that when I interview my dad. Hey Dad, how you doing today?
Hi, Jonathan.
Alright, so Dad, by the way, as I'm going to be mentioning when I show this example, is 아빠 in Korean. Okay, so I'm going to be starting with a semi-formal way of saying hello, how you doing? And semi-formal way is 안녕 아빠, how you doing? 어떻게 지냈어요?
잘 지냈어.
Okay, and that means in Korean, I'm doing well, thank you. And the second way, as I explained before, is the formal way of saying things, which is 안녕하세요 아빠, 어떻게 지냈어요?
잘 지내고 있습니다.
And you say I'm doing well right now. Okay, so the next thing we're going to be moving on today is the accent and pronunciation and sentence structure of Korean and how that differs from English. And so how was that different for you, Dad, when you first learned English?
When I was learning English in the first time, I had a little difficult time because there was some major difference between English and Korean. First, English has some consonants which Koreans doesn't, and sometimes two consonants in English is same as one consonant in Korean. For example, L and R in English, for Korean it's only one consonant. So for me it's very confusing to differentiate the difference of the two words L and R. Also V as a boy and V as a Victor. For Korean it's same one consonant. So I'm still confused about V and V. So that was still difficult for me. And also Koreans have different sequence of sentence from English. For example, English they say I go to school. So subject and main verb. For Korean, 나는 오늘 학교에 갑니다. Which if I translate directly, it means I to school go. So main verb always come in the end, and you need to listen thoroughly to the end to understand the complete sentence of Korean. So whenever I tried to translate, it was confusing. Finally, the accent. For Korean, there's no accent. There's actually no concept of accent for each vocabulary. For English, the accent has very big impact on saying it and understanding it, but Korean doesn't have it. So, for example, for English you go like transformation, like transformation. But if I say that in Korean way, it will be like transformation, or same flat, pronunciation. So whenever I try to pronounce English, sometimes I put the wrong accent, or sometimes I don't put the accent. And even simple words, sometimes many Americans do not understand what I was trying to say. So those three things were fairly difficult for me in the beginning.
And another example of a word, as my dad just said, of showing the difficulties of accent between Korean and English is ultimatum. And so in English it would be pronounced ultimatum, but in Korean the A would be like a little toned down and wouldn't be pronounced as much as English. It would be like ultimatum. And so the A would be a lot shorter and not as brought out as in English, and how English has a little slight accent on the vowels rather than Korean, which doesn't. And so that concludes our interview today, and I hope you guys learned as much as you guys hoped. And thanks for listening, and thank you very much for your time. And thank you very much, and thanks, Dad, for your time.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.